Welcome. Welcome to our Blyth Academy, G. Hardy Tours. I always call it G. Hardy Tours, but welcome to our travel presentation. Please ask us questions at any point in the evening, and we hope we can do a nice job of sharing with you what this experience is like. Who are we? Who's here tonight to work with you? My name is Kathy Young. I'm the Chief Academic Officer at Blyth Academy. I've been in education for many, many years. I was a principal in the public system, and that's how I started traveling with students, actually. I've led probably 15 student travel experiences, most of them with Georgia Hardy, actually. So I started in the public system and then moved over to work for Blyth Academy in my current role. Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Bonner. I'm one of the experiential learning leaders at G Hardy, and I am been working with G Hardy for over 20 years, leading student trips. I began as lead on a trip like the summer one as the teacher, and then I became a principal. And then I became a tour escort, and now I'm working for the company and helping them to build out quality educational programs for students. And I'm a retired guidance and career education department head. So I understand the ins and outs of the education system very well, and and I also understand the amazing value and the life-changing experience that your sons and daughters will have when they go on one of these trips. So it's a pleasure to be here
Absolutely.
this evening. I've put my email into the chat. You're welcome to reach out to me directly at any time if you have questions.
Thanks, Brian. I just let someone else into our meeting. So quick overview of the evening. This is what we're going to cover. But again, as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat, and we're happy to pause at any point in time that something comes up and you've got a question. So, Blyth Academy travel.
Whereas Miss Wong,
Okay, I want to
whereas
watch
Miss Wong
this.
is not, because
Oh,
people try
If
talking
you
to her.
want any
If I
chance
could
of going, you
just-
need to let me watch this.
If I could just ask all
Figure
of
out what
our
we're doing for dinner.
participants, if I could just ask all of our participants to mute themselves, that would be terrific. So we're going to start, thanks. We're going to start with a quote from one of our parents. I could pull up any number of these quotes because this is very typical of what our parents tell us. An incredible experience, fun and educational, a really invaluable opportunity for students. Part of why we've partnered with Georgia Hardy is because we both Blyth Academy and G Hardy Tours bring many, many years of experience to the table. Together, at least more than 75 years of experience, actually, and we have traveled abroad with more than 50,000 students. And I tell you that just so that you know, we are experienced, and we're proud of the work that we do together. Why would you travel with us? We certainly know that you have lots of other options, and we encourage you actually to look at those options and compare us with them, because we believe that we compare really well to those choices. Our 4 pillars: academic excellence. We have outstanding teachers. They deliver high quality programs. The courses are all ministry inspected. In fact, we had a ministry inspection just today of one of our campuses, and the inspector at the end of it said that was a perfect inspection. You are completely compliant. I have no suggestions. And just so you know, she said, not all inspections go this well. So we're really proud at Blyth of the work that we do in the academic area. As I mentioned, decades of experience. G Hardy Tours, 37 years, Blyth Academy, 47 years in group travel. So we've been doing this for a long time. Safety is our #1 commitment. Part of the reason that we have some disappointed students out there right now, because one of our trips is sold out, is we don't go above 45 students. 45 students, 5 staff members. We believe that that's the right number. It's 1 busload, and it works well to ensure the safety of all of our participants. It also just makes for a much better experience. High quality, and this is G Hardy Tours that we thank for this. We stay in high quality, centrally located hotels. They are hotels that I would be happy to stay in fact, have stayed in many times. and the location really makes them special. Similarly, the meals, some of the meals are eaten at the hotel, breakfasts always, but we go out to local restaurants for dinner. And again, we're committing to a high quality experience.
The relationships that we built at the company over the years, staying with these properties and the relationships we have at the restaurants, really are longstanding ones, and we really pride ourselves on that. And I think that's to your point earlier, Kathy, about an opportunity for comparing with our competitors. When you take a look at our digital brochure, you will see exactly which hotels we're staying in and where they're located. Well, sometimes you may see a wonderful itinerary, but they don't mention the hotel. You don't know where they're staying, and it could be a 45-minute or an hour bus ride out of the center of the city. And that's a lot of time for students to be traveling back and forth and not quality time learning and experiencing the cities that they're going to be visiting on these trips. So
Yep.
that's always our modus. So thank you for pointing that out,
Yeah.
Kathy.
No, well, I've traveled with some of our competitors back in the day, Brian, and spent those long commutes into the city,
Yeah,
and it's just, this is just a much better experience.
I think so too.
Our teachers set us apart as well. You can see the large picture is a group from 2 years ago. The picture down in the smaller picture in the corner is last year's group of teachers. They are enthusiastic, they are well-traveled, they are OCT certified. I choose them all. I interview all of our teachers, and I'm looking for all of those qualifications. People have asked me, are they all Blyth teachers? The answer is actually no. Some of them are, some of them are not. Some of them are TDSB teachers, some of them are from other private schools, some of them teach in other boards. So it's not important to me where they come from. What's important to me is that they meet the criteria that I'm looking for. They have to like kids, they have to like traveling with kids, and they have to be experienced in doing that. So I'm really proud again of our staff. Our principals, similarly, well, they're chosen for exactly the same reason. What is their role? First and foremost, our principals also must be experienced travelers, and they're responsible for on-trip logistics. They're the main contact for parents. If something goes wrong, we count on our principals to be able to work with me and with G Hardy Tours to solve those travel issues, whatever they might be. They're responsible for discipline. We hope to have very little discipline. And actually, in the last couple of years, we have had very few discipline issues that have arisen. But if something happens, it's our principal's responsibility to enforce the curfew, to ensure that everyone is safe, to ensure that everyone is behaving responsibly, appropriately. They also, and this does happen all the time, things happen. A student needs something from the pharmacy, luggage gets lost. Maybe a student wants to do something special that only they want to do. Our principals go the extra mile to make sure that all of those experiences, all of those issues are taken care of for our students. I've talked about some of this, but some of it's new. OSSD credits, our credits are all issued by Blyth Academy. They're all recognized by the Ontario Ministry of Education. We are an inspected private school. We just had one of our inspections today, and they're always excellent inspections. Our classes are personalized. Our experiences are personalized. Typical classes 10 to 12. Might be a little larger, might be a little smaller, but that's very much the average that we work towards, because we believe that that provides a really positive experience as well for our students. EDSB is our central education platform that we use. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not, but what's terrific about EDSB is that all the course materials, all the resources, the lessons, the assessments, it's all online, and it's all readily accessible for students and for parents. So I know that students appreciate it because they can look back on what's happened today in the class. They can look back at the resources. They can see where their marks are on a day-to-day basis. Parents also appreciate it because they can follow along with what the students are learning and make sure that the students are actually keeping up with all of their work. Course offerings vary by trip. I'm not going to go through all of these. These are some samples. English is offered on every trip. It says writer's craft here, but actually I believe, and also studies in literature. We can facilitate either the core English or writer's craft or studies in literature on these trips. because we know that some of the independent private schools won't allow their students to take ENG 3U or 4U with us. So but they will allow writers' craft, studies, and literature. So they're always there. Photography is a frequent and very popular option. Classical civilization is particularly popular on the Italy-Greece, Greece-Italy, and now Italy-Greece trip. International business is being offered on a Japan trip, and the French programs are being offered in the London, Paris, Nice programs. Typical day. I always hesitate to describe a typical day because there really is no such thing as a typical day on one of these trips. I had a parent email me this week who was considering, and she said, "Oh, I don't want my students to spend every morning in class." You can be really sure that they're every morning sitting in a classroom. You can be really sure that your son or daughter is not going to spend every morning sitting in a classroom. Typically, we will have breakfast together in the hotel. Classes will happen in the morning, sometimes in a facility at the hotel, sometimes around the pool, sometimes out in the local environment, because sometimes we're visiting a site, sometimes we are looking at where the novel was written or where the novel is set. In an English class, if you're in a photography class, you're out and about taking pictures. So there is some work in class at the hotels, but lots of the time we're out focusing on experiential learning. Lunch for students is on their own. We found they really like that. And I think that's really pretty consistent with all of these travel programs. Students are allowed to go out in groups of 4. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and source their own lunches. They enjoy that. They like that independence and that freedom. Afternoons, lots of different things happen in the afternoon. They might be out on tours. They might be doing recreation. They might be working on homework. Then dinner, evenings. Typically, most of the students either work on their homework in the hotels, although that's not very common. Typically, they go out and explore with their classmates and their friends in a safe area. Again, I'll talk about how we manage that. And then we have curfew. 11 o'clock is here, but it may vary. It depends on what we're doing the next day. It depends on how student behavior has been, but 11 o'clock is a pretty typical curfew. All of that being said, there are many days where we're traveling all day long. And so there are no classes. There are other days where we have more class time, but for roughly 5 out of 7 days per week, this is what we try to do, is get in an average of a half day of classes, whether that's at the hotel or out and about. Safety and supervision. We care about this as much as you might expect us to care about this. I always tell parents that we will take care of your students as if they were our very own. One of my daughter did go on one of these programs once, and I changed her life in a really positive way. But I like to think that we treat every child as we would have treated my daughter. So we have a sign-in, sign-out system. Particularly in the evenings when students leave, we need to know where students are. And if it's an area, if it's a big city, we give them boundaries. Where can we go? Where can we not go? Minimum groups of 4. That there's some variation in that. If we're in, Paros, for example, one of the islands in Greece, small little town, students might be allowed to go out in groups of 3. Usually not a problem though, because they usually want to hang together and go out in big groups. That's typically what we see. Zero tolerance for alcohol and drugs. That's what you would expect. Medical access, I don't think we've had a trip where we didn't have to access doctors for one reason or another. Typically, it's not a serious reason, but we know how to do that. We're good at it. Quick response, high quality access to medicine. Insurance. Brian, do you want to talk about travel insurance?
Sure. So travel insurance is required. All students have to have it to go on the trip. We are presenting an option through GH we have what we call the ultimate youth plan, and it's a really excellent coverage. There's a link in the digital brochure to the policy if you want to read it in more detail. And what you're going to be looking for when you're looking for insurance are sort of 3 pillars that we would expect. And when you're shopping around for this, these are things I think that are valuable to keep in mind. You're going to be looking for trip cancellations. So if for some reason your son or daughter can't go on the trip, You're looking for trip interruption as well. If for some reason your son or daughter has to come home for a family matter or something, that's covered, and emergency medical as well as part of it. So those sort of three are the three pillars of a good insurance plan. I know sometimes I talk to parents and they say, well, I've got insurance with my credit card. Well, yeah, but you know, you may want to investigate further. That might cover a flight for certain reasons and lost baggage, but it may not have, you know, trip cancellation or trip interruption. You know, every policy is a little bit different. Every credit card is a little bit different, but we are offering a plan, and I welcome you to take a look at it, or, you know, shop on your own. But we should be asking for those three things. Those are sort of the ultimate in coverage that one would expect for insurance.
Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
Upcoming trips. So here's the overview. Greece and Italy, it's sold out. We've got a couple of people who are on a waiting list, and actually we may be able to accommodate those in coming days by flipping people back and forth between Italy, Greece, because we put that trip into the market to try to satisfy some of our demand. That trip is beginning to sell as well. So I would very much encourage you, if you are interested in the Italy-Greece program, because they're identical, they're just backwards. If you're interested in that, I said this at our early presentations, my advice, and I'm not just giving a sales pitch here, my advice is to register. You don't want to be disappointed. We do have a couple of kids right now who are disappointed, but we're hoping we're going to be able to accommodate them now that we've put this second trip into the market. London, Paris, French Riviera, a great trip. There's still room in that, and I would say lots of room in that one. And Japan, this is new for us this year, and I think we're the only provider that's there. I've seen a lot of interest in Japan in the last few weeks as well. And so I would encourage you, if you're thinking about that trip. I met with 3 moms on maybe one day last week. I would encourage you, if you're thinking about that, to put your name in for that one as well. George and Melina also works for G. Hardy Tours. George Hardy and Melina visited the sites in Japan. They put that trip together a little bit later than the other ones. And what they're telling us is that it's the best, they think it's the best itinerary that they've put together to date. So I don't know, Brian, if you've got anything more to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Japan many times, so I can speak, I speak very highly of it. It's an amazing experience. Historically, culturally, it's just fascinating. Yeah, they went and did site inspections to all of the places we're going to be going, and they're very proud of that program, and deservedly so. I mean, we're proud of all of our programs, but that one is a very special.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're really hoping for great things out of the Japan program this year. I've got 2 questions here. All the courses are run in July. We will not be opening any programs up in August. No, that was the first question.
Do you want me to go through the chat? We do have some questions. Do you want to pause, or do you want to do the chat at the end of the presentation?
Well, actually, we're gonna get to the dietary restrictions in a moment. So let's just hold off for that question.
Yeah, we'll do the question. We'll do the chat at the end. How about that? Well,
Okay.
You're on your way.
Sounds good. Okay, moving along. Highlights, Italy, Greece. So Italy, Greece, Greece, Italy. Think of them as the same. They're just in reverse order. What you see in the middle, I love this video.
I love that video too.
One of our teachers,
So classic.
One of our teachers leading the students in a little dance routine on, I think it's probably in Santorini. I wasn't there, but I think that's probably in Santorini, in the cruise in Santorini. So kids have fun, right? Kids have fun. And then we've got pictures of, I'm not sure, where is that first one, Brian? It's somewhere in Greece, I'm guessing.
It's not the Parthenon.
Not the Parthenon. Yeah, I don't know where. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Great picture. And then the picture, I think, of on the right-hand side is Rome. So this is a great trip. Kids love it. As I said, one version sold out. I fully expect the other version to as well. And we go to all the hotspots. If you want to do a hotspot tour of Greece and Italy, this is for you. Florence, Venice, Rome in Italy, Athens, Paros, Antiparos, and Santorini in Greece. Paros is one of those up and coming, used to be pretty unknown, pretty sleepy, pretty quiet. But if you look at most of the blogs these days that say, where should you go in Greece, on one of the Greek islands, Paros is making an appearance. It's pretty cool. And Antiparos is a wonderful little island just across the sea from Paros, which we spend a day at, and always a highlight. The Gladiator School, something we added a couple of years, last year, I guess, in lieu of the Vatican. And so it's an included activity. Students really like it. We got lots of museums, lots of boat experiences, beaches, guided tours. Very popular trip. If perfect, thank you. London, Paris, Nice. This is new for us this year as well, but we've done it many times in the past. I just got back from Paris at Christmas. Brian, you go back and forth to France all the time. Paris is one of those magical cities, that I'd been many times before, but I was just so impressed again with how wonderful it was. London, Oxford, London's great. In fact, I read top 25 destinations. Forget who published it. And London was one of them. Anyway, Versailles, Nice, Cannes, Monaco. We do, again, another hotspot. If you've ever dreamed of seeing London, Paris, and the south of France, this is a great hotspot tour of really the best sites. All of these trips, by the way, if you visit our website, are laid out day by day. Again, I was talking to a mom this week, and she said, it's so great the way you've laid out your website, because we can see it's well organized. It's very reassuring to a parent. We know what the students are going to be doing every day. Japan, this is the one we were talking about. Brian, do you want to describe it? Because you know Japan better than I.
Yeah, I know Japan pretty well. So there's 5 locations, but what we do, we've designed this trip very purposefully. The students will be staying in 3 of them. They'll be staying in Osaka, Kyoto, and Tokyo. Nara and Hiroshima they'll be doing on day trips. And because one of the reasons we structure it that way is because we minimize the amount of moving around. Understanding that, packing luggage up and carrying them onto buses and moving from cities to city is not valuable learning or experience time on a trip. I mean, it's probably the least attractive part of travel is that shuffling your luggage around. So we take advantage also to understanding the importance of sustainability on the amazing high-speed rail network in Japan. The students will get a chance to go on the high-speed train between these locations and be amazed when they're moving from one city to the next at 320 kilometers an hour across these amazing infrastructure. So we build the trip very purposefully, taking advantage of what the location provides to maximize the amount of learning and experience that the students can have at the temples. And they're going to do a tea ceremony, and they're going to learn about the samurai warrior techniques and cooking classes, and understand this very fascinating and unique culture in a very, very special way.
I think it sounds like a marvelous experience.
Yeah, it's really, really unique.
Okay, Brian, do you want to talk
Yes.
about what's included?
Yeah,
Because this is
so your airfare is included, of course, accommodation. Now, we do have an option if you would choose to do your own air. It's explained in each of the brochures. If you decide that you have a different way you'd like to do it, or extend a trip, or do something a little bit different, there is that option available where you can take a flight credit for a dollar amount that's been identified on each of the trips and book your own air. But airfare and the general price is included, as is an accommodation. Accommodation is in triple or quads generally, but not always. It really is site specific, depending on the locations and the hotels. And that's all identified in the brochure as well. All the transportation is included. That would be your transfers from one place to another, the internal flight, if there happens to be one on a trip. The coaches, the trains, the metro in Paris. The students will be having that experience. Breakfast and dinner is included daily. And as Kathy mentioned earlier, lunches are on their own. Taxes are also included. There's city hotel tax, for example, in Rome. All of that has been looked after in advance for the students, and those prices are included. The price includes all of that. We make sure when we're picking hotels that the quality Wi-Fi is there, understanding that students are there to learn and they're doing schoolwork and they need access to the internet and access to EdSpace. So the Wi-Fi is pre-inspected and it is a priority for our selection of hotels. All the orientation tours and the guided tours. I should mention that when we only hire blue badge guides. Now, what that refers to in the industry is the top quality qualifications for guides. So the guides that we work with, and we have long standing relationships with them in the main cities in Rome and in London, are blue badge, meaning they're highly qualified and excellent guides and super knowledgeable about the particular site that they're going to. We're not picking people who are going to take you to the Parthenon and not really understand what it is about and can answer just about any question. And it's so much fun, Kathy. I'm sure you can
Yeah.
appreciate that when a student stumps the guide, because the students who go on these trips are so smart and so well read and just amazing. And but our guides are all top notch, and all the academic and instruction, as Kathy has mentioned, is included, and all the materials for the coursework are also included.
Thanks, Brian.
Welcome.
Excursions, we've talked a little bit about
Yeah.
this, what's included. I don't know, Brian, if you want to just highlight
Yeah,
any of
I
this.
mean, yeah, what wouldn't expect. Sometimes there's city walking tours, sometimes they're by bus. Museum visits, they're all guided by Blue Badge guides. The visits to the cultural sites, any admissions are included. Beach days are options if they're relevant to the program. Sports and athletic activities are organized by the staff. Trips to the markets and shopping opportunities, if they want to go when they're in Florence to the leather market, for example, to pick up a special olive oil in Rome, or Paris 2024 Olympic souvenir when they're in Paris. Those are all possible. And each program ends with a farewell banquet as well.
Yeah, I found that lots of students on these excursions really want to participate in most of those things. Shopping is a popular student activity for
Yeah,
sure. As are
I want
beach
to take
days.
a
Beach
souvenir
days,
home.
yeah, it's
Right.
fun. Lots of fun. Accommodation, we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know that I need to say
No,
too
I
much
think.
more.
Mhm.
These are nice hotels. In fact, maybe I'll get to it on the next screen. When you see the pictures, it gives a nice picture. That hotel in Paris, that's what it's like. It's right there, right on the water. Paris, there you are. You can see the Eiffel Tower. Athens, students have dinner that first night up on first night on one trip, not on the other, up on the rooftop patio with that view of the Acropolis.
Yeah,
When I
it's
was in Italy,
amazing.
I lived in Italy for a year, working at a school over there a couple of years ago during the pandemic, actually. My husband and I went to Athens for the weekend, and we chose to stay at that hotel, not even knowing that it was part of the GRD Tours portfolio. So when I say I would choose these hotels, I have chosen these hotels. And Nice, that gives you just a nice picture of the type of hotel that we stay in. Meals. This actually was one of the questions.
Yeah.
All of the trips, we accommodate allergies and any other dietary restrictions.
Mhm.
Breakfast is always at the hotel. I think it's always at the hotel, typically a buffet. Lunchtime, students are free to explore. Dinners we typically have together. But again, I've traveled on many of these tours. I'm a vegetarian with a serious allergy, and I've eaten the same food as the kids, no issues. Our providers are very able and willing to accommodate
Yeah.
allergies and
So,
other
yeah, when you
restrictions.
register, you include any of those special requests. There's a field for dietary restrictions, and we gather all that together
Yeah,
and we send that to every hotel and to every restaurant that we're going to, and confirm with each of the locations that they will be accommodating that. So
yeah,
it's all
yeah,
done in advance. It's all
yeah,
a lot of due diligence is done around ensuring that all the students have the opportunity to participate and love every minute of it.
yeah, absolutely. Optional excursions. There are not a lot of optional excursions. I was explaining this to a parent the other day. We try to make our experiences as all-inclusive as possible. But there are a few optional excursions that students may sign up for. The London Theatre is one on the a London, Paris, south of France trip, as is Versailles. Venice is one of the very popular optional excursions that most students do sign up for on the Greece/Italy/Greece trip. Vatican City has not been terribly popular in recent years, so we have not, it's not currently an option to sign up for, but if we have students that want to go, we 100% will organize and make sure that they are able to do that.
It's a special year to be in Italy. It's for Roman
Yes,
Catholics, it's a Jubilee year, so it's a
yeah,
very big year
very big year
in
in
Italy.
Italy,
So
absolutely, especially in
great,
Rome.
great summer to be in Rome.
Yeah, absolutely. Ambassador program, we have an ambassador program. We have one student who's applied and has been accepted. I spoke to a mom this week and I think her daughter is going to apply. But if you're interested, this is described in more detail on the Blyth Academy website, travel.blytheeducation.com. And we're certainly always looking for ambassadors. It comes with responsibilities, promote your trip, create some content for us, but also some perks. $500 off your trip, $200 for referred students. So consider the ambassador program. Bit more about us. We won't spend a lot of time here, but Blyth Academy, we are a network of private schools across Ontario. We have, well, across Ontario, we also have some sites in Europe. We're part of Globe Educate, which is a multinational school group, but Blyth Academy is the Canadian arm of that group. We have 8 campuses in Ontario, 6 in the GTA. We do full-time learning, part-time learning, summer, night school, average class size of 12. We also have an online school, Blyth Academy Online, asynchronous online. We do Orbit, which is a virtual synchronous program, and you can do full-time summer and night school with Orbit as well. We have a couple of schools that focus on athletics, typically hockey because they're most popular. That's Burlington and CIHA. But we also have a soccer program with the TFC at our Downsview campus, as well as a hockey program. I said we have a couple of Canadian schools in Europe. Canadian School of Florence is operated through Blyth Academy Online. When the students are in Florence, they'll have an opportunity to visit the school. It's pretty cool. They can see a typical European school, actually a typical Italian school, but it's teaching Canadian curriculum through Blyth Academy Online. We are opening a school in Milan this year. I should say opening. It's already open. It's a K-8 school currently, but we're implementing grades 9 through 12, again, with the Ontario curriculum delivered through Blyth Academy Online, and looking at a school in Morocco to do the same thing. So we're currently expanding, and it's a pretty exciting time for us. Let me go to the next page here. What did I just do? There we are. Brian, do you want to talk about G. Hardy Tours?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, G Hardy's been around for this 38th year, and it began as a student travel company. So that is our experience, and student groups from across Canada we work with them and build our trips are all bespoke. So we work individually with clients and build the perfect itinerary for their curriculum goals and for their students, and we have been doing it with a lot of experience and a lot of and a very high quality, like as Kathy mentioned, is a very high quality product, excuse me. So group travel is our expertise. We understand the ins and outs of putting a group on the ground in another place and ensuring that everything runs smoothly, and all of the transfers and all the little details that you get down to in terms of making a bus arrive at a certain time to pick up, to make sure that they make their way in enough time to whatever, admission time they've got for the next event. A lot of work, and we've got a lot of experience making sure that these things run seamlessly. We also do luxury travel as well for families and individuals. We have a separate department who does that, and it is by request. You can go onto our website, and if you are interested in doing something like that, we have a luxury family business, and we have a golf division and a ski division as well. We do specialize in those types of trips also, and we also have a travel consultation service, which is very busy. We have people calling and saying, to your point, Kathy, I'd like to go to Morocco.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful place. But I don't know how to do that. Can you help me to plan something? Of course. So we also do travel consultations. Everything is bespoke. We don't put together a trip and sort of invite people to join it. It is all done with the client and ensuring that they run beautifully, seamlessly, and they have the experience of a lifetime.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
A couple of quotes from students to really to finish off here. I could pull up many, many, many of these. Greatest experience of my life, program of a lifetime. This is typically what students say. Sorry, sorry. I'm sure you can hear my dog. Never mind. M. Someone knocked at the door, and our dog hates people knocking at the door. I very much apologize. My daughter's coming down to get the dog and the door. As I was saying, the students' program of a lifetime, greatest experiences of my life. Kids, it really is a life-changing experience. I remember when my own daughter did this many years ago now. It turned her into a lifelong traveler. She ended up going to university with some friends that she met on the trip, and they're still friends today. She went alone, didn't know anybody, and came back just such a changed person. I can't recommend it highly enough. Thank you. Let's go through the chat, Brian, if we've got any more
Sure.
questions.
Yeah, we do. We have some questions.
And while
So
we're doing
John's
that,
asked, if a student completes a course subject during the summer travel program, how does that impact course selection in the subsequent academic year, fall, winter,
okay,
spring?
yeah, so I can speak to that because I was a principal in the public system for many, many years. So let's suppose a student does ENG 3U or 4U during their summer program, then they would either not, if they would either not sign up for that the following year, or if they had done ENG 3U, they might reach ahead and do grade 12 English a year early. They might leave a spot in their timetable for a spare if they've reached ahead and done a course in this program, and that gives them an opportunity to spend more time focusing on their other subjects. Or they might take an additional course that they otherwise would not have had space to take and use that as another opportunity to earn a really good mark for university admission. So lots of different options for what a student might do if they reached ahead by doing one of these courses. It's actually a really positive thing.
It really is.
University admissions are very competitive these days,
Yeah.
very competitive. We have chosen these courses quite carefully so that they're all courses that universities accept, especially the grade 12 ones as part of a student's best 6. And it gives a student an opportunity to do well because our students do really well on these courses. Our marks are great because of the size of the classroom, because of the experiential nature of the program. So it's a really good opportunity for students to earn that really great mark that they need for university admission.
So Joanne asks, can a grade 10 student take a grade 11 or 12 class?
Absolutely. As long as they've got the prereq, they certainly can. Many of our grade 10 students would come and take a photography course. They might take classical civilizations because that's a course that does not have a specific grade 11 prereq for it. So yes, they certainly can, and many of them do. The important piece is they've got the prerequisite course. Although when it comes to photography, I'll be very honest, if they've got some external experience, we would possibly consider waiving the prerequisite for that course.
Liz asks, are all the courses run in July, or will there be additional courses opening in August? I think we've
No.
already answered that.
Yeah, all in July.
Yeah. Joanne asks, we were interested in Japan. Our son has dietary restrictions and allergies. Curious how this is handled. I think we spoke to that. So when
Yep.
you register, you include the special requests, and we will manage that as on our end, and work with the family if there's anything additional that needs to be done to ensure that your son is safe and that he has an opportunity to participate in and have this experience. How do you achieve the 110 hours of instruction required for an Ontario course credit? How many hours in class versus online?
So what we do is we run 2 to 3 days of half-day classes before the students leave, because that's a really good question. We need to achieve those 110 hours. So we do start the course the week before students leave. We have some virtual meetings where students will get some work, will introduce the course, get some of that, some of that foundational learning out of the way. And then the way the program is structured, those mornings in class are all hours. Also because so many of the activities that we do pertain to the curriculum that we are teaching, many of those experiences also count for hours. So we really don't have any trouble getting all of the content in and covering those 110 hours. The difference might be that in an English course, rather than writing 3 essays, a student might write 2, and maybe they'll do a photo essay because we're able to do something different because of where they're traveling and what they're doing. We're able to integrate or to incorporate some really good experiential activities for the students that cover content, cover the expectations, but also really engage the students in their learning, which is part of why we have really great marks coming out of this.
Rebecca's question: do students get to connect on WhatsApp or in some other discussion group in advance of the trip to get to know each other?
Yeah, for sure. So what we do is we have a meeting in mid-May. I'm going to say mid-May. Again, an in-person or virtual meeting for people that are out of town, because we know some people are out of town. So we have a meeting for all of our students where they can meet their teachers, they can meet their classmates, and exchange contact information. We also set up WhatsApp groups, email groups, so that students can be in touch with one another before the trip. And then those 2 or 3 days before they travel, they're also meeting each other in class, so that maybe they didn't know anybody that was on the trip, but by the time they meet at the airport, they've already connected with their classmates 2 or 3 times. Well, 3 or 4 times, actually.
Stephen, in your presentation, you referred to competitors. How would you describe your offer compared to Global Academy?
Global Summers. I bet you mean
Global
Global
Summers,
Summers,
okay, which
Stephen.
seems to offer a similar summer program. What is the main distinction between you besides the destinations?
100%. So Global Summers is one of our competitors. We are well aware of that. And that's actually a Sam Blyth company. So we're no longer owned by Sam Blyth, although we kept the name Blyth Academy. I'll be honest, I'm not going to criticize Sam's program because that would not be fair. However, I have traveled with both, personally traveled with both. I would say that we stay in superior hotels, that the locations are better, the accommodation is better. I would say that our meals are of a better quality. G Hardy Tours just runs a really first-class trip. Not that Sam doesn't run a great trip, he does. I don't want to criticize Sam. But G Hardy Tours just runs a first-class trip. The other differential, I would say, is that we keep our sizes at 45. We don't take 110 kids to Costa Rica because I don't actually think that's safe. Um, we safety is really one of our focuses, and that's why we keep our 45 doesn't sound small, but in the world of travel, it actually is fairly small, and that's why we keep our trips at that size. So I hope that
There's another
answers the question.
There's another piece to that, Kathy, about the size of the group, which I think is really an important determinant. Um, when a group goes out with 110 students, for example, on something and 3 buses, and it's very easy for an individual on this trip who may be traveling on their own to get lost in
Yes,
the
yes,
crowd of, like, I think that at the ratio that you guys have with 5 to 1, oh sorry, 5 staff members to the 45 kids, there's really nobody's getting lost or forgotten. So the student who might be sitting at the back a little bit quiet, maybe not having their best day, that gets noticed. When you have
yes.
150 people, is even if the number of staff it's very difficult to attend to the individual needs of each learner to ensure that they're having the best experience they can. So that's, I think, a really purposeful
Yeah,
way that we ensure
yeah.
that the trips are top notch.
Yeah, I think that's a great addition to the answer, Brian. I think it's very true.
Mhm. Okay, Liz asks, can two friends, one entering grade 11, one entering grade 12, both taking English courses, room together in the hotel? Oh, it's 100% Yes.
100%. Yes.
So any rooming requests, you just put that in your when you're doing the registration form at the end, there's a field that says something, I think it's additional information. Put in there, would like to room with so and so, and we will make note of that. And when we're building a rooming list, we do that usually in May, beginning of May. We will work our way through that list and ensure that everybody is every rooming request is met, and it works out
Yeah.
that
That's
that is pretty much always the case. Now, for students who are not traveling with somebody, what we did then do is we put students together by gender, of course, but also by grade and by course, so that when four students may not know anyone else on the trip, but they do come into a room, or the three if it's a triple, and they have a shared experience in that they were in class together in that morning, that they have automatically something to talk about. What did you think of the novel we're studying? What did you think of the play we saw last night? Or what are you going to do for your subject for your photo essay? Like they have a shared experience to bring the group together. So that's how we approach rooming. And Liz gave a thumbs up. Thank you, Liz. I think well, that's all the questions in the chat, Kathy.
perfect. Perfect. Oh,
Oh, right.
I just saw
Cancellation.
another one appear, Brian.
Okay, yes. Keep them coming, everyone.
Yes.
How many are we? We still have, yeah, we got 16 people here. So, keep your questions coming. There's no time limit here. What is your cancellation policy? Are there special circumstances that would be covered by cancellation? Cancellation is all dependent on the insurance policy that you purchase. So that's where your due diligence around researching the insurance, the travel insurance, is really important. So our ultimate plan is very good, and there is a copy of the policy as a PDF in the digital brochure. You can take a look at it. But travel insurance is essential. Well, that we're mandating that you have it because life happens and things happen, and circumstances change, and the insurance are very good at understanding that. So. Hope I answered that question. For health
There
insurance.
might be another. Oh, there's more
Oh,
questions. I
okay.
think.
Steve and Selena, sorry, Stephen asked, I think I heard a requirement for health insurance. Do you have a preferred partner or provider? We do, and it's in the digital brochure. It's a policy with, well, we actually have two, as one is with Manulife and one is with TIPS, TIPS, and copies of the policy is in the digital brochure. So you can take a look at it. Okay, Michelle, what is the average gender ratio? Great question. Kathy, do you want to speak to that, or
Well,
do
I
you?
can. It varies tremendously trip
Yes.
to trip. There, it varies tremendously. It's not always 50-50, but there are always a significant number of males and a significant number of females. So it might be 60-40 either way. And that's probably pretty typical, I think, of what we would see.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
just
that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I'm just seeing this next question,
Yep.
Brian. Are these trips exclusively for grades 10, 11, and 12? And yes, these are exclusively for students going into grades 10, grade 11, and grade 12.
Mhm.
Someone emailed me and asked, are there university students? No, no, there are not. If you've already graduated, we've never had a student on one of these trips that's already graduated. So we are looking for students who are have the prerequisites and are ready to earn credits in grade 10, 11, and 12. The only actual grade 10 credit is ENG2D, which we will facilitate. But sometimes grade 10 kids do take photography, as I mentioned earlier. Okay. I think we may have reached the end of the questions, Brian.
Yeah, I think so.
What I will say at this point is Brian's email address is in the chat. You can always reach out to admissions@blythacademy.com or blytheducation.com, sorry. And I'm Kathy.Young, KATHY.YOUNG @blytheducation.com. I think most of you will have received an email either from me or from Blyth Academy in preparation for this evening. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us. Brian is your man for travel-related questions, hotels, flights, all of those sorts of things. I am your person for academic-related questions or just general questions. And we are always happy to speak with parents.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say thank you. Oh, we have another, something else has popped up in the chat. Oh,
Thanks,
thanks to
Liz.
you both. You're very
Thank
welcome,
you very
Liz.
much.
I'm going to say, whoops, one last time. Please, if you're interested in this experience, don't delay too long in your registrations. We are, I'm always sad when we disappoint kids, and we don't want to disappoint your sons and daughters. So please don't delay too long at this point in time. And I think I'll stop at that
Okay.
point. Thanks very much for your attendance this evening. It's been a pleasure. And I'm really glad that we've had such a great group of people and so many engaged questions. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Forward to hearing from you.
Yep. Take care. Bye-bye.